facing off against Grove City tonight.
It's a tweak party, you know, like always.
That's another dub in the books.
I've been on perks and drinks. Sometimes I feel like I'm tripping. All trying to take me to the pain. But you never keep me slipping. I put to give off a whipping. Do you feel me? Not for money, these personal killers. Need that whip, I blow down the kitchen. Please just stay on my business. I'm still safe. Baby on the way, he ain't raising no children. Trying to bet, I bet we get him gone. Why would you say up in the song? Trying over these dick, it ain't that serious. Baby, just leave me alone. I'm in the back feeling good, smoking the backwood. In the back of the war, you miss your bro on somebody's door. You gon' get me back if you could. Yeah, if I get too close on me, you wouldn't get back if you could. Crying on my phone about a bitch on me. Wanna get back if you could. Sometimes I really be asking myself, do they really love me? 10 times I thought about blasting myself, man, this shit get ugly. Nowadays they wanna fuck me, back then they wanna harm me. How many K's I need 40? One spin, we gon' need a more pass. So better get on P, they gotta know we score fast. Since I'm low, it's time to eat, drop shot the door, dead. Made this song, ain't got a pot to PD. Born said, spit 10 times, your spot on P, my born in.
Another one. I ain't gonna lie.
I love the game. Oh my God.
2025, we taking over, baby.
Hey.
Bro.
All right, thank you for joining us for Week 9 episode of the 2025 Pickerington North Football Show. We'd like to kick off this week's show thanking our sponsors. First off, Cardo's Pizza and Tavern for hosting our show weekly. In Pickerington, located at 7897 Refugee Road in the Kroger Shopping Center across the street from Pickerington North. Cardo's perfect place to take your family for a Friday night pizza night or before any North football or athletic event. American Legion Post 283, proud supporters of Pickerington North Athletics. Always treat the football program great. And then Peterson Home Building, your trusted partner for roof repair and restoration solutions in Central Ohio. Peterson is committed to delivering top quality craftsmanship and exceptional customer service to safeguard your most valuable asset, which is your home. So let's go ahead and review Week 7 of the season. Panthers hosted a league rival for homecoming, the Greyhounds of Grove City. This rivalry, we talk about Pick Central, Gahanna. This rivalry really gets slept upon. Goes all the way back to 2005 and is always a dogfight. The Panthers came out in the first quarter Friday night, took a 3-0 lead on a 48-yard Brandon Fowler field goal to go up 3-0. The Dogs from Grove City, though, and you got to expect it from them, they're going to respond. They had a 66-yard touchdown pass from Carson Welsh to Owen Steele. The Panthers facing adversity for the first time really since Week 2 against St. Ignatius. Traded leads with Grove City in the first half and took a 17-14 lead at the half. The Panthers created some distance in the second half, scoring the next 14 points to take a 31-14 lead to ultimately win the game Friday night, 31-21 over the Greyhounds of Grove City. Panthers with the victory moved to 7-1 on the season and 3-0 in OCC Ohio play. From last Friday night, the offense, once again, second straight week, a really good balanced attack. 39 carries for 154 yards, and then passing for 224 on the evening. Some offensive standouts. We say his name every week. Junior Andrew Thomas, 25 carries for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns. Senior Jarin going 15 of 24 for 224 yards and 1 touchdown pass. He also added 10 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown with his legs. And then junior wide receiver Kamani Johnson really kind of coming on here late in the season. Followed up his big game last week of 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. This week he has 44 reception, 93 yards, and another touchdown. And then senior wide receiver Grant Williams, Mr. Consistent this season. Another big performance, 7 catches for 94 yards. The defense, we talked about it before last week's game. Grove City was going to be a challenge with their 5-wide, old school Chip Kelly Oregon style offense. They had their moments moving the football, but the defense definitely had a bend but don't break mentality. Defense still leads Division I in the state of Ohio, only allowing 7.3 points per game. Some defensive standouts. Sophomore Gio McKnight, our guest last week, absolutely balled out, had 2 interceptions and 8 tackles. Sophomore Demetrius Curtis continues his tear as a sophomore as well, 6 tackles and a tackle for loss. Senior Dante Curtis, also 6 tackles and a tackle for a loss. And then senior safety Ryan Miller, really 8 tackles from the safety position, really kind of shored up that back end on Friday night. So tonight we're going to take a break. We're going to have senior quarterback Jarin Mock, and then senior offensive lineman, defensive lineman Brady Boss here for segment 2. So we're joined for segment 2 tonight by our starting quarterback and Bowling Green commit Jarin Mock, and then senior offensive lineman, defensive lineman Brady Boss. These two, have really been senior leaders for the football team this year, and really the big reason behind the Panthers' 7-1 start to the 2025 campaign. Brady, Jarin, thank you both for joining us. I know, homecoming last week, we were right in the middle of OCC Ohio play. You guys are right in the middle of it, so thanks for taking some time out tonight.
Sir, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're going to talk about the offense a little bit here. So, the offense this season, biggest thing about last season compared to this year, you guys had a lot of holes to replace, right? 2024 squad, you had your whole offensive line back. You got the Prestons of the world. You're basically, you've got Michael Taylor. You were basically replacing everything from last year. So, talk about the challenge coming into 2025 and kind of making a new identity for 2025.
I think it was a lot about just rebuilding the chemistry, because a lot of these guys, we played with for a couple of years. We had that chemistry, and losing a lot of them, I think we try to rebuild it, which we're doing a good job of right now.
What would you say to that, Jarin?
Yeah, just trying to get the young guys back up to knowing the standard, meeting the standard, and working as hard as they can to get back and go even farther than we did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some areas of the offense you guys have had growth the most, and what are some areas you guys still think you can improve on this year?
I feel like we had a lot of young guys coming up in the skill positions like running back and receivers like that. So just getting those guys, getting the continuity with them during the offseason helped a lot.
What would you say to that, Brady?
I think we've had a lot of growth with the offensive line. 4 of them have never started on the varsity before, and having a lot of new guys, I think they've been doing really good.
So, Brady, obviously the start of the season, you kind of just touched on it. Through 8 games, we've really seen the run game be featured. Like the Pick Central game. There's been some other games, where maybe the run game kind of carried it. What steps and maturations have you seen from the new offensive line, replacing all those starters from game 1 through game 8 last week?
It's just each week we're getting better, just building chemistry and just keep building on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jarin, one observation I've seen out of you this year, and you had your moments. Old TJ Berlin right before the regional semifinal game, getting in the end zone. But this year you're using your legs a lot more. A lot more design runs. I think this year you got 242 yards rushing. You had 10 carries last week, 45 yards and a touchdown. Talk about developing kind of maybe design runs. Maybe I don't see it. I'm going to take off and make a play. How much more of an element has that been to your game this year?
I feel like me running with my legs, it opens up a lot what we got going on during the offense, even with design runs or just getting out the pocket and making the play. But I worked on that very hard this offseason with my trainers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with being a 3-year starter, here in Columbus, between Reynoldsburg your sophomore year, North this, your junior and senior year, what are the biggest differences you've seen in the way defenses defend you between maybe your sophomore season, your junior season, and this season?
I feel like this season, it's been a lot different. I've been getting ID'd a lot since they're watching film of me using my legs. I might have maybe 2 spies on me each play, or just getting set heat constantly every play, so they're in my face constantly. So it's definitely changed.
Well, it definitely opens up the passing game a little bit too, right? You got 2 spies. It's like, cool, let's hit the tight end, or let's hit something else.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things for you, Jared, I think I have a lot of respect for you for this season. Last year, you come in, you get the Keystone Cadillac of that receiving core and skill players. This year, you're kind of that leader, right? Like you're the guy, you're the grizzled vet. You're bringing in a new receiving core. So, this year, Grant Williams, kind of goes from being like your number 4 target to being your number 1. You get Grant Parsons came back this year. Kamani Johnson's really kind of come on the scene here in the last few weeks. Caleb Stanley, Noah Dumas have really had their moments. How much of a challenge? I remember I talked to you and Preston last year. With you coming in, you guys rep that. This year, you're kind of that leader. So how much of a challenge has it been to break in a new receiving core?
It was a little bit challenging. I feel like we got through all those wrinkles and crannies during the summer, just repping those after conditionings and things like that, and having taken our off time, even like if we want to have fun, just coming back to the field, getting continuity with each other.
Yeah. In the past 3 or 4 weeks, I feel like the passing game is really starting to evolve. What do you attribute that to?
Mostly the OC. You feel me? He sets me up. He put me in a good position, so I mess.
Coach Prude at home, but yes, Jarin does a great job. So the other thing I'd point out too, how important, and this is for both of you too. You guys being senior leaders, how important has patience been this season as the offense has grown and evolved?
It's been pivotal, just being patient with some of the younger guys, even though they don't know some of the stuff that we do or don't have as much experience as we do, then just sticking with them, constantly driving it into them, so they get their stuff right. So by the end of the season, we're good.
Yeah, what would you say that, Brady? A bunch of younger guys. How much has patience really paid off for the offense so far this year?
I mean, just like he said, I feel like patience has really been like a big role in our offense. And over the few weeks, it's really been showing.
Yeah, and I think, really the Pick Central game is really, first few weeks, you're bringing in a lot of young guys, but Pick Central week and on, I feel like you guys have really kind of turned it on. So, Jarin, how much do you think you've evolved as a passer here in the last season and trusting really what you see pre-play?
Just working, repping those stuffs in practice. It also goes back to film study, just knowing what they're in, knowing what coverages they play, and their tendencies.
So, a lot of times we see those college NFL quarterbacks, they're putting in 15, 20 hours a week of film work. What's your regimen on that?
I try to, after I get all my schoolwork done, or even during the school day, I try to watch as much as film as I can. Sometimes I try to watch it with my dad at home, try to teach my mom a couple of concepts that we do, so I feel like that helps.
Hey, if you can teach mom, you can teach anybody, right?
Yeah.
So, definition of student athlete. So, Brady, Jarin, this is for both of you. How important has your leadership been for the offense so far through 2025? And how important is it to lead by example for the younger players on the offense?
I feel like it's been really important this year, especially with a lot of the younger guys coming up. A lot of them, they haven't played a varsity snap at Pick North, so I feel like leadership is really big this year.
What would you say to that, Jarin?
I also say the same thing, just not having the experience on the offensive side of the ball. It's kind of a disadvantage, but also trying to get them back up to speed so we get where we want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what would you guys describe, through 8 weeks of the season, what would you guys describe the offense's identity?
It depends on the game or in our game plan. Sometimes we'll run the ball most of the game. Sometimes we'll go air raid. So it just depends on what we see in that certain week and their weaknesses.
Would you say that, Brady?
I mean, just like he said, it's just fitting in with who we play that week.
Yeah.
Just filling the spots.
Yeah, very strategic week by week, based off the defense and skill set you're going to see.
Yeah.
It completely makes sense. So, you guys have talked about all these, new skill players, new offensive linemen. How important is communication?
Very. I try to communicate with my guys on and off the field, even if it's not football, just building that chemistry with them, it's a great experience.
Yeah, just like he said, having 4 new offensive linemen, I feel like chemistry has really been a big thing on and off the field, and just building it.
And you can have scrimmages, right? You can have all you can have all the preseason practice. You really don't know. You make a call. You got 8,000 people in the stadium. It's a lot different.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So through 8 weeks for the offense, and for both of you, what has been the most memorable moment so far?
For me, I'd probably say the Central game. Just after the game, just going around town, everybody hyping our head up like, yo, it's a Panther town, so I feel like that was a good experience.
Well, you haven't lost to him yet. You're 3-0, so we'll give you that. What would you say, Brady?
Definitely a Central game. It's definitely an experience.
Yeah. So, which player in the offense so far this year, maybe someone that no one at home knew about, or for you guys as a crew, who's been the biggest surprise?
For me, I kind of seen it before the season, but Carmani Johnson, I try to get with him a lot. Him coming in, him being new to the offense, so just getting with him, building that chemistry and clicking on the field.
He's got some speed too.
Yeah.
He's the last 2 weeks he's really had 2 really great games. How about you, Brady? Who would be the biggest surprise you've seen so far on offense?
I'm going to have to go with Andrew Thomas. I feel like he's really been slept on the past couple years, and this year he's really putting it up. Yeah,
he's been, the leader of the offense. With the exception of Jarin, he's really been kind of carrying the load. Yeah. And especially that read option between you guys, that's tough to stop, especially with the offensive line. I think after, Central games, really the first time the offensive line really kind of felt like, they were, Sorry. Really that's the first time, the offensive line really kind of got that major push, that major shift. And I really think that was a lot of the success you guys saw in that Central game. Offensively this season, the offense obviously looks different a little bit this season, right? So, last year, Michael Taylor, we've got all the receivers in the world. We're throwing the ball vertical. This year, it looks a lot different. A lot more RPO concepts. Especially, we're still running out on the gun, the typical North offense. What challenges do you think, the RPO, running different types of formations, maybe 2 tight ends, what do you think that's, challenges that causes for defense?
A lot. Our defense in practice has challenges with it, so that's saying something. So just going out there every week and giving the defense a new look and them having trouble with it, it opens up the offense.
What would you say, Brady?
I feel like with Jarin's ability to be able to read the defense, it definitely causes problems.
As an offensive lineman, though, in an RPO, how difficult is that to not get an illegal man down the field? It's got to be quick, right? So,
for sure.
You got Brady down there, bull rushing someone 5 yards, all of a sudden Jaren's stirring the ball, and it's like...
For sure, yeah. You just got to keep it mental. You just have to know what's going on, but also stay in that deep focus where you got to manhandle the guy in front of you.
So, another question I would have for both of you. How important is it to stay on schedule in a drive, right? Avoiding negative plays, unnecessary penalties, and playing mistake-free football.
I feel like it's very important. I feel like we kind of caught ourselves doing that during St. Ned's. We kind of got behind the sticks. Even last year going against St. Ned's, I feel like that was probably the biggest problem that we had was penalties and getting behind the sticks early in the drive. So that wouldn't set us up for failure.
What would you say, Brady?
I think it's really important. Coach she emphasizes it on every week, and that's what wins games. Yeah,
it's the margins, right? Especially, when you get to the old change of liberties, the St. Ed's, they're just as good, right? Maybe even a little bit better. And you got mistake-free football. So, no, absolutely. So, as an offense, how important is it to get off to a fast and crisp start offensively and putting pressure on defense to begin a game?
It's very pivotal. I try to, at least one time during the first drive, air it out so we can get down the field, get momentum flowing, and get our juices flowing for the next play.
I swear, I thought you hit Grant Williams for that touchdown the other day. It was a good ball. I was just full disclosure, I wasn't at the game on Friday night. First game I think I missed in 15 years, so I was getting married this weekend.
Yeah.
Listening to the game on the radio, and I heard that ball in the air, and I'm like, oh, he hit him, and then it was like, oh, how did he get to the house? But it was a good ball, and that's how you want to start the game off, right?
Yeah.
What would you say that, Brady, getting off to a good crisp start?
That's really what we focus on, is just killing their mental game early and just getting off to that good start.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jarin, you kind of already touched on it a little bit. How important is film study on a weekly basis and knowing what you're going to see on a Friday night?
Very important, just knowing what their fronts, their rotations, and what their linebackers do and their DBs do every play, and knowing their tendencies. It helps me a lot pre-snap.
Yeah, absolutely. Then as an offensive lineman, what do you look for in film study?
Different formations, different blitzes, and every week it's something different. So it's really something you need to focus on.
And then, obviously, we played some, first three games last week, we played some good opponents. How important is it to work with your coaches at halftime to make those necessary adjustments?
It's very important. I feel like Coach Pruitt, he comes down from the box. We go at each other, bump heads off each other, bump ideas off each other, and see what we can do coming into the second half.
And, working with Coach Pruitt for a second year now, like, how much better has that communication gotten?
Great. Since I got here, I feel like our chemistry has been through the roof. So
And that's the thing Coach Pruitt's always told me too. Brady, talk about maybe obviously Coach Perry, Coach Galvin, Coach Freddie. Talk about some of the adjustments you guys maybe make at half.
We just focus on what we're seeing up front, and that's really a big play coming into the second half is just reading their defense and just seeing what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jarin, I've got a few questions for you here. 6'3", 190. How would you describe yourself as a quarterback, and what makes you a challenge for opposing defenses?
Probably my size. Also, either I can hurt you with my legs or air it out with my arms, so you don't know what you're going to expect each play. So.
Yeah, typical dual threat. So, between last year and this year, what did you work to most improve on?
Probably my shiftiness. I feel like my top end speed wasn't where I wanted it to be, so I spent a lot of time during the offseason working with Kenny Stafford, getting my shiftiness together and my top speed.
I feel like everybody from the football program works with Kenny Stafford.
Yeah, he's the best of the best.
Yeah, he is. We just talked about your second year in the offense here at North. Has the game slowed down with you for a little bit, and communication, knowing terminology, has the game slowed down for you a little bit?
Yeah, most definitely. From my freshman year to now, it's definitely slowed down. Just also with film study, it makes the game slow even more down. So I know what rotation the safeties are doing or how linebackers are wanting to play me.
Obviously throughout the year, the passing game's really kind of evolved. What do you attribute that to?
Also, Pruitt and my dad, me and my dad spent a lot of time in the film room. We also bounce ideas off of each other and see also what he sees and what I see. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're committed to BG. Talk about your journey, recruitment in Division I college football the past 12 months, the ups and downs, and what comes with it.
It's a lot. It's a long process, stressful process. But when you have a good family around you, good support system, it goes easy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're obviously Coach George, Eddie George, former Heisman Trophy winner, first-year head coach of BG, came down to watch you beat West Earl Central game.
Yeah.
Talk about having Coach George in attendance to watch you and the relationship you've developed with the BG staff.
When I first got that BG, he was bigger than I expected in person. So
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. But it was a surreal experience, him coming to my game, also showing love to my city. So that was a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, talk about, in Division I recruiting, relationship building. How important is that?
It's very important. I feel like that was what made me commit, just the relationships I had with the BG coaches and the staff members around BG.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is some of the feedback you received from the BG's coaching staff, your 2025 season? What's some of the feedback you've gotten so far?
I feel like me and Coach Partridge, we had some conversations during the offseason. He told me what I need to get better at, like with my feet work and mechanics and things like that.
So are you going to early enroll? Is that your plan?
Yeah.
Okay, and then have they shared, what kind of development plan they have for you? Or?
No, they have not, but I feel like they'll put me in the best position to even play my freshman year or put me in a position to be ready for next year.
Yeah, compete for a job, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's all you can ask for. So I got to know your thoughts. This is a sensation, Pudge the cat. I mean, this cat was on College game day Saturday morning. Have you met Pudge yet?
No, I have not met Pudge. I wanted to meet Pudge when I went down to the game, but I couldn't catch him. There was a lot of people there, so they probably put him in the locker room or somewhere where he was safe.
I mean, are you a cat person?
I'm more of a dog person, but I feel like once I get down to campus, I feel like the cat probably.
Oh, the biggest sensation we've seen in college football, maybe in 2025. All right, I got to know your thoughts. I had some friends in town, BG grads.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing UT, which they refer to as the University of Trash, the Wood County rivalry, right? They got jumped 21-0 on Saturday, rallied back, win the rivalry game. Did you get to watch the game? What were your thoughts?
At first, I was like, it's looking a little shaky, but I never lost faith in my guys. I knew they were going to eventually snap back into it. They came out, made their adjustments, and executed as well as they could.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a heck of a football game, a heck of a comeback, and won 2 years in a row, I believe they won. Yeah. So, that really slipped on a rivalry in the mag. So, all right, Brady. Well, we'll go to you here. So you're at 5'11", 270. How would you describe yourself? Obviously you play guard, defensive tackle. You're playing two ways. What makes you a difficult matchup on both sides of the ball?
I feel like my technique, that's really something I've been trying to perfect, especially with my size. You know, I'm playing guys that are 2 times the size of me. So I feel like strength and technique have been a big thing in my game play.
So, you know, being a senior leader on the offensive line, how much do you have to grow up quickly after last season with replacing all those guys?
I feel like it's a big jump, especially with, you know, being a senior. You really have to be a leader, and being the only senior on the offensive line, I think that's a really big thing for me.
And, you know, I've been hearing things too, you know, a lot of young guys on the offensive line, JV offensive line, and the pipeline's filled at North.
Yeah, for sure.
So you've also had the challenge of playing both ways. How much of a challenge has it been to both play guard and on offense and defensive tackle?
I feel like at first I had to get used to it, but over time I feel like I really formed into playing both of them. I really like it now.
I mean, it's a lot easier mid-October when it's starting to cool down a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
for
Like
sure, for sure.
August kind of sucks, right?
Yeah,
No, I get it. So, you know, talking with your coaches, you've been talking to the Capitol and Otterbein. You plan on playing college football, and in, you know, these schools you anticipate maybe going and playing at the next level?
Yeah, I do. I'm still trying to see my options and see what comes to me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've had a great senior season, and hopefully, you know, more things open up. But,
sure,
you know, even getting some film on tape, you know, 9 times out of 10. So, you know, I had a conversation the other day with your run game coordinator, Craig Frederick, and I'm like, you know, tell me about Brady Boss. And he described you as a killer. He stated you are the leader of the offensive line, but it's not by your play, it's by your play, not by your talking. On any given play on film, you're hunting someone. Talk about your mentality as an offensive lineman, being a leader and wanting to be physical.
I feel like as soon as I get on the field, I just have to flip that switch, and I just have to be able to just run through a guy's face, and that's my mindset the whole game.
Yeah, absolutely. So another comment Coach Frederick made was your technique. As an offensive lineman, he says you're getting better and better each week. You know, talk about how much effort you've had to put in this part of your game.
I feel like it's been a lot of effort, and like I said before, I'm a smaller offensive lineman, defensive lineman, so I feel like technique is a really big thing in my gameplay.
So, you know, technique-wise, what has been the biggest thing you've had to, like, you've really put most work into?
A lot of hand placement. I feel like that's been my biggest struggle last year was hand placement. So that's what I've really been working on offside the field.
Yeah, that's one thing Coach Freddie also mentioned. You know, Jarin, Brady, you know, to kind of finish off here, what are your guys' goals? You guys are seniors on this offense. You know, you got the last 2 games of the regular season, the OCC Ohio play, you know, potential playoff run. What are your guys' goals individually and as seniors?
My goals individually is just play the best ball I can every day, play the best ball I can every snap, because you don't know when it could be your last or last time playing with your brother.
Yeah, what would you say, Brady?
I mean, same thing, just giving it my all 100% every single game, because you never know it's going to be your last.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, well, I'd like to thank both Brady and Jarin for joining us tonight. We'll go ahead and, you know, best luck to you guys, you know, winning the OCC Ohio, making a deep dive, you know, deep run in November in the Division I playoffs. So, best luck to you guys on that.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and wrap up here. So, first off, I'd like to thank Cardo's Pizza and Tavern for hosting us as always. Thanks to owner Keith and Jessica for taking care of our staff and student athletes each week, as well as Jared and Brady Boss for joining our show this week. The Panthers this Friday night host their senior night. It's crazy to think you guys are already having your senior night. They go fast, don't they? Against the Eagles of New Albany. The Eagles enter Friday night's contest against Panthers at 3-5 in the season, coming off a win over Central Crossing last Friday evening, 47-0. The Eagles come into Friday night's matchup 21st in the Division II Region 7 playoff rankings, and really needing to win out against the Panthers and next week's opponent, Westfield Central, to have any realistic shot at making the playoffs. The Eagles are known for their physical wing tee offense that can be a huge change-up weekly for any defense. The Panthers, like we mentioned, went to 7-1 last Friday. They are 4th in the Division I Region 3 playoff rankings and 3-0 in OCC Ohio play. Like we mentioned earlier in the season, top 12 teams make the playoffs. Panthers are 4th right now. Top 4 do get a bye. So if the Panthers do win out, more likely they will get a first-round bye, really the first time ever in the history of Ohio high school football, and then would host week 2 of the playoffs. Panthers also kick off this Friday, 7 p.m. across the street over at Panther Stadium. And it's senior night. We need you guys to come out, be loud for these guys, send these guys off the right way, go to 4-0 in league play and be 8-1. And as always, remember, be loud this Friday and go North.
The 6-1 Panthers facing off against Grove City tonight.
It's a tweak party, you know, like always.
That's another dub in the books.
I've been on perks and drinks. Sometimes I feel like I'm tripping. All trying to take me to the pain, but you never catch me slipping. I'm quick to give all but whipping. Do you feel me? Not for money, these personal killers. Need that whip, I blow down the kitchen. Please just stay on my business. All things safe, baby on the way, he ain't raising no children. When the belt, I bet we get them gone. Why would you say up in them songs? Crying over these dick, it ain't that serious. Baby, just leave me alone. I'm in the back feeling good, smoking the backwood. Bang on the back of the wood. You miss your bro, somebody do it. You would get me back if you could. Yeah, if I get too close on me, you wouldn't get back if you could. Crying on my phone about a bitch on me. You wanna get back if you could. Sometimes I really be asking myself, do they really love me? Sometimes I thought about blasting myself, man, this shit get ugly. Nowadays they wanna fuck me, back then they wanna hug me. How many K's I need 40? When spin we won't need a more pass. So better get on P, they gotta know we score fast. Sit your lowest time to eat, y'all shot the door dead. Made this only got a pot to PD. Born said, spit 10 times, your spot and P my torn in.
Another one. Another one. I ain't gonna lie.
I love the game. Oh my God.
2025, we taking over, baby.
Hey.
Bro.